the next next nutrient is water. Water is needed for waste removal, chemical reactions, moisturizing, and temperature regulation. It makes up over 60% of our body's weight. Our textbook says 68%. I've even seen some resources say 70 or 72% of our body weight is water. So water has, as you know, many properties. So when you're putting foods for water, don't just write water as a food source. Almost everything we eat has some water in it. I noticed people that have done it, I was correcting last night, put like watermelon and apples. Those would be good answers. There's lots of them. I should mention also that you might have noticed, if you've looked at the assignment at all, I did take some pictures of different pages from our textbook too, to find answers of food sources and functions. So not only are these notes in Schoology, but there's also some other resources from our book to use as well. Or obviously you could use the internet. And then vitamins. And again, just like minerals, these aren't all the vitamins. And there's a couple on the chart that aren't here, so you can either use the book or Google. So our first one is vitamin A, that's needed for healthy skin and normal vision. If you look at the deficiency on the chart, it will tell you that the deficiency is called night blindness. So night blindness, the easiest way I can explain it is if someone has severe night blindness, they wouldn't even drive a car at night. Usually what happens, for example, if we shut off the lights, most of us can adjust to the darkness fairly quickly. I mean, obviously we're not going to be seeing in the dark, but somebody that is severe and doesn't get enough vitamin A and is diagnosed with night blindness would not be able to adjust to darkness, would not be driving the car, like I said, at night. So that's what it means by night blindness. Vitamin B, and there are B1, B6, B12, thiamine, and riboflavin or riboflavin, it's pronounced both ways, are the three main B vitamins. And they are needed for a healthy nervous system. Oh, I should back up and say vitamin A food sources. Dark green leafy vegetables. Milk is fortified with vitamins A and D, which means they've added it to it. So there are several fruits and vegetables that would have vitamin A. Vitamin B is found in lots of grain, things that would be in the grain group, breads and cereals. Vitamin C, which is also called ascorbic acid. You don't want to mix that up with acetic acid, that would be vinegar. But ascorbic acid is vitamin C, so sometimes if you look at a label, it might not say vitamin C, or it might say vitamin C and have ascorbic acid written beside it. That is needed for resisting colds, so it's true when they say have your orange juice when you have a cold. If you have a deficiency in vitamin C, you get something called scurvy, which is like swollen gums, cracked lips, bleeding gums. So it's not a very pleasant thing to think about. But vitamin C would be in citrus. So your oranges, lemons, limes, so that's true, like I said, with your orange juice. It's also found in some vegetables. Kale would be high in vitamin C. What else? Strawberries is high in vitamin C as a fruit. Vitamin D is known as the sunshine vitamin, because where do we get it from? Sunlight. And then there are foods. A lot of fish will have good vitamin D. Again, milk, some of your dairy sources. And we need vitamin D for bone development. And then vitamin K, which they talked about if you watch the My Plate, vitamin K potassium, which is needed to clot your blood. I should also mention vitamin D deficiency is called rickets, R-I-C-K-E-T-S, which means brittle bones. It is different than osteoporosis, which is found in elderly people as their bones deteriorate. That's a different thing than rickets. Most of these, and the B vitamin deficiency, berry, most of those we do not, aren't as common now. Like the berry used to be way back when Navy men, women were out at sea, and the only thing they could get to eat was polished rice, so they weren't getting all the vitamins and nutrients they needed. So they developed berry. And the same with scurvy. That also kind of dates back, although I've heard more recently some incidences with scurvy. But that a lot of these are diseases that aren't as prevalent right now. And we need vitamin K, as I said, for blood clot, potassium, which they talked about. So I'm going to come back. So all of those should be, and I'm going to just see who else popped in so I keep up with my attendance here. All right. I know that was a lot to listen to and take in, but that was, and quickly. Those nutrient notes are in Schoology, and those are what you're going to use to do that nutrition chart. And then Friday is the lab. If you can do it on Friday, great. But like I said, a week window would be fair, I think, to try to do one of those or both of the recipes, or if you opt to do your own smoothie or one of those lab options, that works too. Questions on anything I've talked about? Okay, just a few. Let's see. Hopefully, all of you have watched and completed the My Plate, but let's just do a little bit review. Can anybody remember, without looking at your sheet, what was one of the 5 vegetable subgroups? Does anybody remember those? Good. Dark greens. Anybody remember any other ones beside dark green? Red and orange. Those are the colors, dark green, red, and orange, and then we have some other categories. Beans and peas. Okay, 2 more. Anybody else remember? Dark green, red, and orange, beans and peas. I'll give you a hint. Potatoes would be this, corn would be this. There you go, starchy, good. And then, believe it or not, there was the other group. So they were kind of a catch-all for something that didn't belong, like your artichoke, for instance. What foods do not belong in the dairy group? What foods are not included in the dairy? Yes, believe it or not, butter, which when I first learned about My Plate, that was the first time they took butter out of what used to be the pyramid. Some of you might have even gone back farther with the 4 basic food groups. But butter, cream cheese, sour cream, anything that has a very high fat content. As we look at bread, why might it not be whole grain? What do they do to the bread that might trick us to thinking it's whole grain? Perfect. Yes. They're going to add either molasses, which you saw that syrup that a lot of times we use when we make molasses or ginger snap cookies or gingerbread, or they might put food coloring. So that's why it's really important to always read labels. So don't assume just because the bread is a light brown color that it would be whole grain. Let's see. What are some ways we can get more fruit into our daily diet? What were some of the things? There were a lot of possible answers on that one. How can you get more fruit into your daily diet? Perfect, yes. Put them out where you can see them so they're easy to grab. Another one would be what we're doing, make a smoothie. Can anybody think of any other ways we can get more fruit? We could add them to things like they had put them in your cereal, put them in yogurt, put them in pancakes. Let's see. I'm trying to see if I can think of something from each group. What are some non-meat protein food sources? Usually when we think of protein, we think of just meat. Where else can we get protein? Nuts, good. Eggs, milk, peanut butter, good. Does anybody like tofu? I'm not a big tofu fan either, but I know some people like to put it on salad. Sounds like you did a good job with remembering things from my plate. When eventually, down the road, when we have the nutrition test, there'll be some questions on my plate, and then there'll be a matching of the nutrients and their functions. So I will probably put a practice quiz or two, either from my plate probably, and one with the matching of the nutrients. So you can start to get those down in your mind, what those are. All right. If you came in a little bit later, I strongly encourage everybody to take that Serve Safe Food Handler. I got my certificate last night. If you do that, I would like to know if you would take a picture of your certificate and send it to me via Schoology or email it to me. Prize. It's an incentive because this is a great opportunity for you to do it free of charge. Any questions before we sign off? As far as our next, it'll either be, just watch the updates or the schedule, either be Tuesday or Wednesday of next week when we'll be live again. All right, everybody, have a good day, and I'll see you next week.